debut in Macarthur colours for Charles MOMBWA. Mooney Najjar has come on as well. They both feature in this attacking foray.
And if Bruce Dickinson wants more cowbell, we should probably give him more cowbell.
Hey, babe, I gotta have more cowbell.
Some ball, Derbyshire, big moments. Flag is up. It doesn't count for now. What a pass from Shushaeta.
Hello and welcome again to another week of the Bull Banter podcast. I'm your host Blake Sims, and with me today is Daniel Sims yet again. In today's episode, we recap the devastating 3-0 loss to Sydney FC at the weekend, address recent club news from the past week, and we look ahead to our return leg clash against the Wanderers. We're also delighted to be joined by the Baraka Fanbase, the support group for Liverpool local and Macarthur Bulls young gun Charles MOMBWA.
Guys, to stay up to date with all things Bull Banter, be sure to check out our socials on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or go to bullbanter.com to access all of our content in one place. And as always, thanks for support and enjoy this week's episode.
Well, let's get into it. And sadly, we're reviewing a game where we got walloped. Sydney FC came to Campbelltown and left with all 3 points. So obviously, at the start, for anyone who watched the game, you could see we were well in it. We were moving the ball well, out-possessing Sydney, which I was quite surprised by. For a championship side, they looked like they couldn't really match us with 11 men. But then that all came crumbling down when Mark Milligan brought down Trent Buhaja on the way through to goal, just outside the box. What did you make of the incident, Daniel?
I don't know if it was necessary. It probably did stop a early goal for Sydney, but Milligan's just collected him with a flying high kick. It obviously wasn't a good thing in terms of an even matchup, but we did start strong, and following the challenge, we did still look the better team, surprisingly.
Yeah, against an 11-man Sydney with one player off, we still put it on them. With going back to the challenge though, I don't think Millsy's been watching too much of Trent Buhaja's finishing, because this year he hasn't really done too much. I don't know if it was worth chopping him down, but no. In all seriousness, that was a definite red. We agree on that, right? Definite red.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, he still would have had to put it past Federici, so you never know.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to trust your goalkeeper, but no. Milligan chopped him down absolutely, and it's a bit annoying. I mean, we now miss our captain for a very crucial fixture against the Wanderers. The challenge itself, he got up and said he got the ball. As soon as you hear that, you know that they've done something wrong, don't you?
Yeah, and the replays do not suggest that he got the ball at all.
No, he really cross-bodied him, didn't he?
Yeah.
But moving on from that, we were still the dangerous side. Excellent play from Markel Susaeta, who we haven't really profiled too much on this podcast before, but he's been sort of one of the foreigners that's done business for us. He's obviously scored the goal at Campbelltown. He's been really inventive in his kind of play and hard to pin down from oppositions. So he might go sort of under the radar, because I think his personality is not so flashy. He doesn't really, light up defenses, but he gets things done, and he's dangerous on the ball. So it was good to see him getting about there.
Yeah, I think he's really starting to grow into his own anyway, and play at that level that we sort of expected of him. Obviously, arriving and having to deal with the COVID quarantine, and same with Bernat as well. You can see that they're both sort of beginning to get their legs and their match fitness up.
I thought it was a much improved performance by Benyat as well. And even though, Benyat sort of does get the plaudits, he's the one on the billboard, and he obviously was pretty instrumental in our first goal. Susaeta is certainly on the rise as well. Now, I also thought that we were much more defensively conscious when we came out in the second half. We were looking to defend first and attack later. How did you see that play out, Dan?
Yeah, we sort of, it was like we had 11 men. It felt like we had 11 men for the rest of that first half there. And I guess maybe at halftime, Milicic said, look, we can't be overextending ourselves too much here. So that I think when we came out in the second half, we looked to play a bit more conservatively.
Yeah, we had that sort of defensive posture, and it was interesting because, like you said, we were still dominant with less men because we stuck to our game plan, and it was clearly working against Sydney FC. There were some brilliant touches by Benyat. Denny Genre looked immaculate. Like there's some through balls that he put through, some challenges that he evaded that he just looked class on the night. It was really disappointing that we couldn't get more ball through to him because I think he would have lit up Sydney's defenses on that night. But yeah, obviously with what has to be said was a massive halftime break due to the weather conditions. There was lightning at Campbelltown Stadium and quite a large bucketing amount of rain as well at halftime that delayed the kick off the second half. So I can understand the tactic from Milicic because, you're thinking, okay, it's 0-0 halftime. We're a man down. The momentum has probably gone out of the boys a little bit with that big delay. And what if we just go out there, we park the bus and we try and hang on for a point, which would have been a really good result. But obviously it didn't go the way exactly we wanted it to go.
Yeah, because when that halftime delay happened, I thought it was only like half an hour, but it was a full hour-long delay to the match. So, they probably definitely weren't ready to be in that same sort of attacking mindset and have the better of the game coming straight out of the gate in the second half. And obviously, even though we were the more dominant and in control side, Sydney was still creating better attacking chances than us. There was one early, Federici was forced into a reaction save. That same issue still sort of applies to us in terms of creating goal scoring opportunities. So I guess in that perspective, Sydney were a bit more lucky. They would have gone into the halftime maybe 1-0 up. I don't think they would have deserved to, but they were a lot more deadly in the final third compared to us.
I think it was just a matter of running out of legs in that second half as to why we conceded. There was obviously the first goal was a bit of a disappointment. Federici, you were expecting him to maybe tip that around the post or even keep hands on it. But it's just an unfortunate rebound back to Wood, who slotted his first goal of the night. It was interesting. What did you make of the switch up in tactics? I think that strangely enough, we could be very dangerous if we decided to take that counter-attacking posture against certain sides.
Yeah, getting the ball early to Genre in the midfield, it obviously wouldn't be reliable, but when he has the ability to beat a man, or on last Saturday, he was able to beat 3 men, I think, and dribble it forward and find Lockie Rose at the back post there. We look a lot more exciting and dangerous and not as reliant on those wing players to push the envelope and create something.
Yeah, because to be honest, I know we didn't have as much possession as we would usually expect. I mean, that's expected because you're going down to 10. But when we did go forward, we knew, it's like the players knew, okay, well, this is like one of maybe 5 opportunities I'm going to get in the second half to really go and score a goal. And they just played with that freedom that I think we were maybe lacking in some instances when we're just trying to possess the ball and keep it, rotating and working over an opposition defense, tiring them out. So maybe if we just let let ourselves go a little bit more in terms of that attacking freedom, we might lose the ball a couple more times, but we also might score a couple more goals. It's a balancing act, I suppose. But I think, you look at it and we were dangerous. Derbyshire put one in the back of the net that was ruled offside. Lockie Rose could have scored 2 if his finishing was on song that night. So I think that, it tells us a little bit more about this team, about how dangerous we actually can be when we need to be.
Yeah, and you talk about the sense of security. How much of that is down to not having that extra security of an extra player, that 11th man?
Yeah, you got to throw caution to the wind in that.
Because, they talk about, it happens in Sunday League as well. Sometimes the team will go down to 10 men and then they'll pick it up. Everyone will be like, oh, shit, we have to dig deep now.
We have to actually play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sydney's subs and attacking intent from Grant saw Barbarouses catching our backline sleeping. As we said before, it was unfortunate to see Federici put it into the path of Patrick Wood. And then you could see following their goal, Sydney just went into, operation mode, their top gear again. They were moving us around. They were certainly tiring us out. I think our fitness levels certainly, dropped after that first goal, but it was also probably a bit of a psychological impact on the boys, having held them out for so long up until that point. And Ninkovic does what Ninkovic did, what Ninkovic does, and he just made us look foolish. I mean, I think it was 4-on-1 for his goal, and he just saw a bit of open pasture in between Federici and our back line, knocked it in, and it was just like a chip and chase.
Yeah, he put it past Golek like he wasn't even there. And Golek did have a pretty decent game, even though it's tough to say someone's had a decent game when you've conceded 3 goals, but he was solid after coming on. But you're not going to stop that. Like we saw it from the sideline. We had a good view of it. Like, no complaints from us. Like, that goal was top draw.
Yeah, absolutely. And, sometimes there's just no stopping them. When you have players of his caliber, all you can do is sit back and watch. And, from the sideline, you could only really stand and applaud. I mean, that was an excellent finish and an excellently constructed individual goal. We also wanted to really drill deep onto this little incident with Lockie Rose going through 1-on-1 with Andrew Redmayne. And unfortunately, he could only find the keeper. What do you think? Do you think he'll have to... Will that play on his mind a bit for next time, or will he sort of just have to put it out of his mind and maybe he tries to do something different next time? It was a bit of a tame finish.
Yeah, whether or not he's just snatching at him, but he's just got to keep turning up and it'll come for him eventually. Like, obviously, there's a bit of pressure. Both weren't clear one-on-one opportunities, but you would expect someone that's at that level to put at least one or if not both of those chances away. So it was a little bit disappointing, but I suppose it just wasn't our night that night. So
yeah, so things certainly didn't go our way, as we sort of predicted in the previous weeks with the VAR incidents that have actually gone our way. I guess we were due a bad one. But on another night, you see Lockie Rose being an absolute hero. Maybe Derbyshire just stays on side that little bit longer and it puts it in the back of the net, and we come back 3-2 with 10 men. Who knows? And
maybe Genre bangs one in from 30 yards, top bins.
Yeah, and then maybe you wake up from your dream. But no. Yeah. We saw in the last goal as well, Sydney put the nail in the coffin with Wood finding space in the box. By that point, it was pretty schoolyard defending, and I think the boys fell asleep and didn't track that runner into the box. It seemed pretty pedestrian. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it was late in the game, and being down with 10 for that long, doing that much running, whether or not they just didn't have the energy to push that extra half a yard to cover it. It did look sort of like a miscommunication between Genre and the 2 centre backs there. There was 3 of them sort of saying, "Oh, he's got it." Yeah. So he just sort of found that space, and it was a decent enough finish. He still had a lot of work to do to turn it and put it past Federici. So
yeah, it certainly seemed like a bit of a mental switch off. Tired legs do play a factor, and you're probably thinking at that point, oh, well, he's got it. But, you can't afford in this league at this level, you can't afford to switch off, not even for a moment, because a side like Sydney, whether it's a starter for them, someone with the likes of Milos Ninkovic or someone who's come on off the bench, they'll punish you. We'll have to learn from that. Our next meeting with Sydney FC is actually on the 28th of February on a Sunday. So we'll go to Netstrata Jubilee Stadium and hopefully, show that we've learnt our lesson there. And that actually brings us neatly into our fixture changes. Daniel, you want to take us through the fixtures that have come up?
Yeah, so a few more rounds following Saturday's clash against Wanderers have been announced. We've actually got a short turnaround between games here. We've got, I think, 3 games in about 7 days. We're away Matchweek 7 against Brisbane Roar on the 9th of Feb, only to welcome Adelaide United at home on Friday the 12th. So 3 days rest in between following Saturday's game. Hopefully the boys aren't worn out too much, but it'll be interesting to see how minutes are sort of restricted and managed over the next few games.
Yeah, and then so we go up to Brisbane. They're back at home to see Adelaide on the 12th, and then we visit Western United in Ballarat before seeing Sydney FC on the 28th. Now, We've got a really interesting segment for you here. Last week, we had a huge uptick in listeners wanting to hear from the Bullpen. Well, I think we've maybe topped that interview this week. We've got an interview with the Baraka Fanbase. You may not have heard of them, but I'm sure you'll see them around the stadium. They make a lot of noise, and they certainly do stand out with their flamboyant support. So the Baraka Fanbase, basically they're family members and friends of Charles MOMBWA, the young bloke who came on in the later stages against Sydney FC and did a couple of really fantastic fancy touches. So we'll throw you into that interview now. Hope you enjoy, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you for listening to the Bull Banter podcast. Here today with us, our special guest, we have Clement Williams representing the Baraka Fanbase. Welcome, Clement.
Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you guys getting us on and recognizing what we're trying to do. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and we appreciate the company on this interview. So why don't we start with the first question?
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Clement. I suppose I'll just start by getting to know a bit more about your guys' journey, and if you could tell us what Baraka means.
No worries, man. You're welcome. So Baraka actually is a word from my dialect, and it actually stands for, it's the name of the town where we're from, where Charles is from, where my parents are from, and it's just a small city in Central Africa in Congo. The zone itself is called Fizi, and then the actual town that we're from is Baraka. So, us obviously getting, knowing the Bulls and coming to support through Charles, we thought that we would pinpoint the name, like, somewhere, something that connects to him. So we just, went with Baraka.
Yeah.
And then we just added the fan base, and that's that behind the name. Yeah.
So that's his roots.
Yeah, that's his roots. Exactly right. Yeah.
Alrighty. And so going into a bit more detail, how was the support group actually formed?
So the support group, like I was, I remember when we were having the chat a bit earlier, like I mentioned, the support group was actually formed over a number of years. It's not something that just happened like it just now. So it's been something that's been growing as we followed Charles's journey from when he first started, playing local or MPO and MPO3 for Dulwich Hill, to when he signed MPO1. His first contract, I think, was with Parramatta back then, to when he went to Central Coast, and now with the Bulls. So it just started with the family, just myself being his brother, a few of my close friends that have grown up around Charles, and then as he went on, friends of friends came in, and friends of friends. He's a good boy as well, so he's very popular around with people because he's quite friendly with everyone. So people seem to like him, and so it just grew slowly like that.
So it's a real occasion for the community. We also wanted to drill down a little bit deeper to learn a little bit more about Charles. So when did he actually when did he start playing for Dulwich Hill? And then can you take us sort of through his journey to becoming a professional footballer for the Bulls?
Oh yeah, bro, the dates and the years maybe way off. But so I think it would have been like Charles when Dulwich. Yeah, like probably around like 2013. It would have been at Dulwich Hill back then. He was playing under 18s. He was having a good season, scoring a lot of goals. He was getting noticed a lot. So from there, he got picked up by, I think, Man Druitt.
Yeah.
Rangers picked him up. Yeah, Rangers picked him up, put him in the 18s. At that time, the coach that was doing the 20s was like, man, I need this kid in my 20s team. So it was in the 18s, but the 20s coach, every game was like, even after Charles plays 18s, was still starting him in the 20s.
Yeah, so he was backing up on the weekends and doing all the extras.
Doing all the extras and backing up, so he was playing there. Then from there, Parramatta, who were in MPO1 at that time. So from Rangers, they sort of called him over and he went there. But he wasn't with Parramatta for too long. So the transition between him being at Parramatta and going over to the Central Coast Academy It was probably like a matter of a few months. I don't think he played too many games with them. And so he moved over to the Central Coast, where he went through the whole academy system, a few years there. He was working hard. Unfortunately, things in the end didn't work out quite as he would have wanted to.
Yeah.
It was still quite a great experience for him. Learned a lot there, improved a lot. So after that happened, he was actually overseas in Belgium.
Okay. Was he doing trials over there?
Yeah, so he was in Belgium training with Mechelen.
Oh, yeah.
I think for some few months, because our community in Belgium is quite big.
Yeah.
The Congolese community there is very well represented, and it's huge. So he was there trialing with them for a while, but then he had some issues with his passport. So when he came back around like just before Christmas to try and sort that out, that's when the whole virus broke out, and it was sort of like
timing.
Yeah.
At least he was back home when it all started. At least, so that's a silver lining, I suppose.
Did Mechelen want to sign him before the passport issues?
To be honest, literally, I actually don't know, but it was a case of like he was literally training with them. I was training with the first team for quite a while, and the agent that he had over there was confident. He said to him, like, even if these guys don't sign you, which I think that they were still deciding, but he said, even if these guys don't sign you, I've got a number of clubs in the second division who are interested. And, so Charles, his plan was to go back 100%, like I said, and all those, like the whole COVID thing happened. So he was sort of down a little bit, and he thought, what do I do now? And he decided, instead of just sitting at home and doing his own training, he would try to get an MPO team just to keep the legs ticking while he waits and hopes that the virus doesn't hang around for too long. Yeah, and then that's when he linked up with Joey, because that was his coach, I think, in the early days, the Central Coast. So he went to Northbridge, and he was playing with them in the MPO1 during the season, the COVID season.
Just to keep his legs ticking over,
just to keep his legs ticking over. It was nothing like, he just wanted to keep training, really, and he knew that Joey had good sessions and could help him. So that's what he was doing, man, until I guess the coaches at the Bulls noticed him and sort of started having a look at him, and that was really how it happened. Yeah,
and Militic just picked him up, and obviously you can tell he gets quite a feature on the Macarthur Bulls Facebook page, the social media, so you can tell that the camera's got an eye for him, and he seems hungry. I mean, from the story that you've told just now of his journey, you can tell that there's no quit in him, and he just keeps going. He keeps pushing for his positions. Even from your story, you also said that he's been playing against boys and men older than him for the longest time. So he seems pretty fearless at the same time.
Yeah, it does. So he's always been like small, obviously in stature, but in terms of his work rate, his strength, like he doesn't back down. He doesn't like. I'm like 2 years older than him, and like literally from whenever I can remember, he's always been playing like with me and guys that are older than me. He's always been getting amongst us, and it never really looked like he was, the youngest in the group. So he always works hard. Even now, being in the team now, like, some of the family that do not understand football as much sort of say, "Oh, Charles is not playing again, this." But he's positive, he's happy, he's learning a lot, he's working hard. The Bulls, the club is treating him really good. The coach shows a lot of faith in him, and he's really enjoying it. He's working hard, and like I mentioned before, he's the type of guy that just says, as long as I work hard, my chance will come.
Yeah, and so go ahead.
Yeah, I suppose building off of that, seeing him play on the weekend there, what did you make of that one? Because when he came on, he definitely was a bright spark. He definitely looked quite solid and was doing positive things with the ball.
Yeah. So with Charles, like, you just expect energy. Like, the guy doesn't stop. He doesn't know where the stop button is. So he'll just keep going, and he'll keep trying. Like, he'll keep trying things, and he'll keep going forward. A bit like Lockie. When these young guys come in, they have that energy. They drive. The
fearlessness, I suppose.
Yeah, the fearlessness they have. But with Charles, it's also a case of like he has some flair in him. Like, he has those tricks, like he has some sharp turns. It just gets really low and gets around the field quite smoothly. You know, him coming on, obviously he didn't touch the ball too many times, but the few times that he did, you could tell that he's someone that's confident and that's ready, you know, to be able to help the team wherever he can,
Yeah,
and to keep
and
improving.
you could see as well from the crowd reaction from the couple of touches he did have. I mean, I'm sure the Bulls fans would want to see more of that. You know, he's, like you said, not as the most conservative player, but man, when he gets on the ball and he's, you know, driven to, you know, go forward with it, he's an exciting one to watch. So I do hope he gets a lot more opportunities this season.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. Like, especially from the Baraka Fanbase point of view, these guys, I don't even know how to put it in words, but they absolutely love him. Like, because they've been seeing what he can do since forever. You know what I mean? So whenever he gets on for them, it's exciting. Like, some of these guys just want to see him like do his thing. You know what I mean? So like the noise is always gonna be there, man. It's gonna get noisier and noisier, and you know. Big ups to the Bullpen as well, because in Newcastle, when we weren't allowed our tools, we actually joined up with them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys saw, but we joined up with them and we just made one big group and made as much noise as we could over there with the rules and everything. But those guys are doing great as well, doing great things, man.
That's fantastic to hear. Just quickly for our listeners, I know we talked about it a little bit before, but there was a bit of a miscommunication or incident, I suppose, when you went to the Newcastle away game.
Yeah. So when we went to the Newcastle away game, you know, took all the tools and all the instruments to really blow those guys away. I'll send you some videos after as well to your Instagram just to show you when we got to the field, the noise we're making. Everyone sort of just stopped and they were like, "What the heck is going on?" But then we got to the ticket booth and the security guards are just like, "Guys, unfortunately, like we can't actually let you come in with those." And we tried our best, but they were like, you know, it's the rules. So we just said, "Oh, that's all right. We'll just leave the drums and the vuvuzelas, and we'll just try to be as loud as we can with what we can do."
Yeah, and you're also saying a bit earlier that you guys don't have necessarily a home for active support in Campbelltown Stadium. You kind of just pick your tickets on the day and all sit together. How has that sort of impacted? Has that impacted you at all in terms of showing your support, or?
Yeah. I feel like yes, it has, because sometimes we all get tickets where it's like between us there could be another person sitting down, and sometimes we try to be a bit conservative because not everyone goes to the football match for the noise. Like, some people want to watch in peace and quiet. So I feel like, you know, it's something that if we were aware of before, we would have found a way that we can all sort of like get an area that's, you know, just us, and preferably probably like a bit lower down there, so we're not actually inconveniencing anyone else.
Yeah.
So it's been a bit tough in that way. But look, man, we still try, because like some of the guys like literally get their tickets at the gate, like on the day when we get there, and like so it's a bit hard. But so like I said, we haven't had too much communication with the club or many people from the club. So, you know, I think it's something that we'll have to grow into, because I really, really strongly believe that, you know, the Bullpen are there, they're doing a great job, you know, the support is there, but you can never have enough support, you know what I mean? And I feel like we bring in like a different type of vibe. And if we are in the stadium and they're in the stadium, like that's twice the noise. So, and I think the boys will really enjoy that and love that. So we'll try our best to sort of like see how we can get around, you know, getting into the stadium and being able to get in with everything that we need to make the best atmosphere at Campbelltown Stadium for any team that comes around.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead. I think as you guys keep building and growing the Baraka fan base, I think soon enough the club will have to recognize you guys and probably you know, get in touch with you.
Yeah, man.
You are making a lot of noise as it is.
Yeah, we hope so. We really hope, like, because we even have probably a few songs that we've done ourselves that we've written. We haven't been able to like showcase them at the stadium yet, because with the rules, like you said, they tell us you can't sing, you can't do any of these things. But like going to the game and seeing the Sydney FC fans get on the way they did on the weekend, we might as well just stuff it. Hey,
Yeah, they're not going to kick you out, especially with your passion. One last thing before we sort of let you go. I've noticed a couple of times when I've seen you guys around at Newcastle away, I saw on the telly, and also last week, I don't know if you knew, but we actually sat right behind where you guys were in Bay 4 there.
Oh, yeah.
And it was brilliant to see, like, when Charles came on, even though it was 3-0 down, you just didn't care. Like, you were just supporting him so much. It was awesome. But I wanted to ask you about the white masks that some of you wear. What's the story behind that?
The story behind that is like, so like the Baraka fan base was almost like the guys that wear the mask is like me and a few of the older guys, because it's like, it's not about the face that you see. It's just about the noise that we're making and the support. Because we get there sometimes and the securities look at us and they sort of think like, guys, I don't know if you're allowed to have this on in the stadium, but it's like, for us, it's more of a thing because where we're from, it's like when you're supporting someone, you're supporting the team. It's not about the face behind the mask. It's about the cause that you're doing. And that's what it's about for us. It's about the support that we're giving rather than who's giving the support. You know what I mean?
That's
Because
brilliant,
at the end of the day,
I'm so glad to hear that. Like, you know, it's not about, you know, necessarily individuals. It's for the team, isn't it?
Yeah, it's for the team. That's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. So like we, obviously when we get there, people will know like we're there because we love Charles and everything like that, but he's still playing for the Bulls and we're there to support him and the whole team. You know what I mean? So we don't want, for us, it was more like, I don't care about, you know, who's there. It's about the noise that we're making. How are we pushing the team forward? You know, how are we affecting the game as much as we can as a support group and as fans? Yeah.
Hey, Clement, am I right in what I heard before? Were you asking Charles about his own history?
Oh,
is he there?
Yeah. I was sort of asking him. He's just sitting across from me. So
if he's not too shy, can we get a quick hello?
I'm not sure, Charles. What do you reckon? Come on, give the guys a quick.
Oh, there he is, the man himself, Charles. How are you, man?
Hey.
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, doing well, man. Thanks for coming on the Bull Banter. Very quickly, I got a prediction for you, right? This weekend, with the Baraka fan base behind you, Milicic will sub you on when we need a bit of energy in the midfield. Yeah. You're going to come on. You're going to score a 20-yard bomb outside the box against Western Sydney Wanderers to win the game. That's my prediction.
That's it. That's exactly what I had in mind as well, bro.
Yeah. So you've been practicing your long shots?
Hopefully, I have.
Yeah, bro.
The whole week I've been hitting him from just in front of the halfway line.
Haven't you seen his highlights?
Yeah. More highlights to be added, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Some of his Central Coast highlights are ridiculous. I saw this one today. He just cuts in on this guy and then just wraps one in the far post, like from 30 yards
probably
out.
My best one. That's probably my best one ever. I don't know if I can ever do that again, but
no, we're sure. We believe in you, mate. You definitely can.
That's it. I appreciate it, boys.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Charles. Good luck, mate.
Man.
Keep it up.
I appreciate the love, bro.
Boys, just another thing. Just in future, like if you guys are sitting behind us, man, don't be like
shy.
I know you guys. I know you probably not shy, but don't be shy to join us. And if you hear like we go Baraka, you go fan base, Baraka fan base, Baraka fan base. Yeah. And there'll be, like I said before, there's so many other songs for most of the other players individually and as a team. So if you guys see us around and you're so close to us, man, just come over and like join us if you can, or just give us a quick hello, man, because we're all there for the same cause.
Definitely, bro. Definitely. We look forward to seeing you on match day. I think we'll pull the interview up there. So thank you so much, Clement, for jumping on and representing the Baraka fan base. We hope to see you on match day. And thanks again for joining Bull Banter.
No worries, guys. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. You guys keep doing what you're doing as well for the growth of the club. This is good stuff, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Clement. You're a legend, mate.
No worries. Take care.
All right, well, we hope you enjoyed that one. And just as a quick side note as well, we got a message from Clement after our interview. He wanted to make sure that everyone knew that Baraka also has a double meaning. So it's where Charles is actually from, his roots, but it also means blessing. So a little bit more of a fun fact there for you on the Baraka fan base. All right, pressing on. We've got an interview that came out today for SBS The World Game, where Sam Krslovic addressed some speculation around the club's relationship with the Bullpen. So we thought we'd do our due diligence and follow that up with you guys, seeing as though we talked about it last week. So here's what Sam had to say.
What is it actually like at this point in time?
With the Bullpen, it's a great relationship. I mean, we have regular meetings with them. We had a meeting last week with them. We provide, obviously products to merchandise to help them, raise money for their own initiatives, sign jersey, balls, whatever, reasonable and we can accommodate, we accommodate.
So why do you think there's this core section of fans that seem to be quite upset with
it's not a core section. It's a handful of few led by one person who has a vested agenda, and it's a long story, Liz, but I wouldn't want to bore people with it. But if we're going to be held hostage by one person and his delusional views, well, then we shouldn't even be involved in the game.
Okay, so you heard there from Lucy Zelich of SBS The World Game interviewing Sam Krslovic about the Bullpen. What did you make of that, Daniel?
Yeah, well, obviously we interviewed the Bullpen last week, and I suppose I'm the sort of person that, like, if someone tells me something, I'll take their word for it. And it just seems to be mounting up against the original Bullpen that, like, obviously they have some arguments in regards to how the club's done things, how the Bullpen's been run. There have been some issues. Obviously, a major thing to start the season with was the pricing of the Bullpen. And another clip in that interview from Sam, he even admitted himself that the club got that wrong. And then they did reduce the price a few weeks ago, I believe, before the Wanderers game. But yeah, I just think it's mounting up against the original Bullpen. If we're taking people's word for it, then yeah,
it has to be said that it's coming to a sort of, I guess, jumping off point in terms of, do you support the club or not? Again, as Krslovic spoke about, there seems to be a sort of minor element of the Macarthur supporter base, but a very vocal one at that. It does have to be said as well that Kane did a really good job. Kane Ustendorp, who I believe was sort of the leader or sort of, driving force of the Bullpen in its early incarnations. He's done
the supporter group as well.
The Macarthur supporters group as well. He's done a great job at the start, especially, putting all the posts on social media about, the Camden game and going up to Maitland for a preseason match. Like that's utter commitment to the cause. And you can understand his frustrations at how things may have borne out with this, I guess, separation of the actual Bullpen trademark and, I guess, licensing. I'm not sure exactly how it all worked, but
the Bullpen saga.
The Bullpen is in the possession of different owners, and I'm yet to see Kane at a game. I'd love to see him there. He seems like he's going to be a really good supporter, and we just hope that we can get everyone on board for Macarthur, because at the end of the day, if we don't come to the game and support our team, we are not going to have a team. Macarthur's not as big a city as Melbourne or inner city Sydney or even Adelaide. So we need to come together on this.
Yeah, and all this sort of back and forth between the active support for Macarthur. I mean, if you check A-League memes, it's every second post. It's just, yeah. I mean, we'll take it on the chin, but eventually, like, there's got to be an end point. Yeah. We all got to jump on the same ship.
Yeah. So that's an open invite to the original Bullpen guys. We'd love to see you at the games, even if it's not in the active support. I mean, I'm not an active support member, but if you're really keen about football, and you want to have a good team in the area, jump on board with them. Otherwise it's going to be gone before you know. So yeah, interesting stuff there for Krslovic to address that. I thought that maybe if he just didn't address the scrutiny over it, or gave a bit of a non-answer, it might not stoke the flames so much, and that it might just be moved on from. But I guess his idea was to address the criticisms or the controversy in order to sort of put it to bed, but it might just stoke the flames. Who knows? Anywho, we have a game on the weekend that we need to preview. We're looking ahead to the Wanderers. Now, early doors, Wanderers, before the season started, looked like on paper they could really do something this year. And it seems to be the Wanderers syndrome a little bit of, people hyping up, is this going to be the year they come back to their best? Because they do have that success, in their very early years. But it hasn't seemed to have been consistently working out for them so far. Obviously, we got the win over them and we love that. But they haven't looked convincing, I would say, in really any of their matches, even the ones they've won, despite being quite competitive. What do you think is going to happen on Saturday?
Yeah, well, like you said, a slow start to the season for them. They've had low-scoring games, albeit they've drawn a few of them. They were unlucky at the weekend to end up drawing against Newcastle, but Abini did get off the mark for them. And if he's going to be the sort of talisman for them to push them forward, he could be quite lethal against us. He didn't do too much against us in that opening fixture, but
he looked a bit short of fitness at the time.
Yeah. But they're going to bring it at the weekend, I think, compared to round one. Round one, you sort of don't know what to expect coming up against a new team. So, yeah, I think they'll be looking to get the win over us. But it will be a good game.
I think it'll definitely be a good game, and they'll be looking to right their wrongs. I mean, starting the season at home against a new club, even though, we do have some talent on our books, they'd still be expecting the win. And, obviously they brought in quite a few new players towards right at the end of the transfer window. So they'll be looking a little bit sharper, I suppose, a bit more gelled. And yeah, they'll be looking to put one on us. Even though they haven't been getting going this season, I just see in the bits that I watched of them, they are always competitive and they do have periods of the game that they dominate. And so far, it looks like they haven't been able to really convert the chances that they've been creating. They have looked pretty dangerous, but if we can weather the storm, so to speak, they do have these moments in the game, these little 10-minute periods where they sort of fall back, maybe try and catch their breath, maybe don't make the extra effort, maybe mentally go out of the game. And that's where we can really profit. So
yeah, we saw it in round one, even with the sort of limited amount of chemistry that the team might have had. We were still able to dismantle them going forward. Like, how often do you see Franjic do a little flick behind the back to put Sitaeta through? But yeah, I think if we bring that same energy we had on the weekend, I think it should be a very exciting game. Hopefully a bit more high scoring than the 1-1 draws that Wanderers have been having. But
yeah, I think it'll also be interesting to see how we function as a unit without Milligan, because he's been, as we said before, the general in the midfield, making us tick over, calling the passes, calling the plays. And when he's even been in defense, he's been that almost like a deep lying playmaker where he's, putting those chipped through balls in for Lockie Rose and the likes to chase. So yeah, it'll be an interesting match. We hope that Sujnia, when he comes back into the side, is ready to go. We're not sure if there was an issue with him last week as to why he couldn't start against Sydney. Maybe Milicic just preferred having Milligan back there, but it obviously backfired a little bit because he wasn't able to handle the pace of Buhaja. But yeah, we'll have to see how we go. I think Puyo, Jeanro, and Benyat in midfield is quite strong, if not super defensively minded. So there's going to be a big onus on our centre backs to have a good match and maybe not pushing our wing backs as far forward, even though during possession spells we can definitely dominate them and make them work harder than they want to work. So with that all being said, Daniel, what do you reckon is going to happen? What is the score prediction?
Yeah, my score prediction is a 2-2 draw. It's obviously a big game for both sides. I can easily see either team winning it. Because it'll set either team off on a solid run of results with these oncoming fixtures that both sides have. So obviously I'm hoping that Macarthur can get the win and kick on over the next week where we have 3 games to follow up. But I think another draw for Wanderers.
Yeah, and I got to stick to what I said earlier in the interview. I think that it'll be a bit of a tight match. We might open each other up, but I don't think we'll be able to sort all of our chances from either side. I think it'll come down to one moment, and that moment will be when Charles and MOMBWA gets subbed on and scores an absolute screamer for us. And
just give him 90 minutes.
Just goes off. Just hit it, son. Anyway,
I can't imagine how wild they go when he actually scores one, because when he touches the ball,
you'll have to get all the security in the ground to keep him from going on the pitch and hugging him. But yeah, we look forward to that. Hopefully Charles can score a screamer, or at the very least we can get the business done over the Wanderers when they visit us on Saturday evening at Campbelltown Stadium. And we thank you again for listening to the Bull Banter podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, listen up, and also follow us on all our social medias. That's Twitter, Instagram, and
Facebook.
So thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you later.
At Bull Banter, Banter Bull, search it up. It'll be in the description of whatever you're listening to this on, Spotify, Anchor FM.
Just do it all. Just on every social media. Let's do it. Catch you guys.